Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your TVC News of July 24th, 2020. Tonight, new cases of COVID-19 in Ontario, constitutional challenge to mask use, 19 Rockland doctors require mandatory mask use in schools, a busy night for the police, and a drive-in theater for 30 years of TVC 22. "421 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in Ontario earlier this week, according to Ontario health authorities. There are more than 37,700 confirmed cases in the province of Ontario. In Eastern Ontario, Eastern Health Unit Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Paul Roumeliotis, reports that only one new positive case has been detected. This latest case in our territory brings the total to 172 cases. The slope seems to have been rising significantly in the last few days alone. The daily number of new cases of COVID-19 continue to rise in Ottawa. Ottawa Public Health reported 43 new positive cases earlier this week. In the last 36 hours, these positive results represent the highest total in recent weeks. Wednesday, the Ontario reported 2 deaths and 165 new cases, half of which are now under the age of 40. 20% of the new cases are in Ottawa. Well, some Canadians have filed a constitutional challenge in courts against the requirement to wear masks in enclosed public spaces. For them, this protection is not based on any scientific fact. Their defense will seek an injunction in the Ontario Superior Court this summer to strike down the requirement to wear the mask before their cases is heard. This hearing could be heard this winter. A recent poll showed that 9 out of 10 Canadians agree with the mandatory wearing of masks in enclosed public spaces. And 19 family physicians from the Clarence Rockland Family Health Team signed a letter addressed. 19 family physicians from the Clarence Rockland Family Health Team signed a letter addressed to Dr. Paul Roumeliotis, the Medical Officer of Health at the Eastern Ontario Health Unit, asking authorities to make the wearing of masks mandatory in schools. However, the provincial government of Doug Ford specified that the decision to make masks mandatory in school rests with the school boards. But the school boards responded by saying that it was up to the health unit to decide. These 19 family doctors say masks are mandatory in enclosed public spaces, so the decision to make masks mandatory in schools for the children over 2 years of age would be consistent with the mandate already established by the Eastern Ontario Health Unit and Ottawa Public Health. Family physicians also explained that the prioritized back-to-school approach brings its own challenges when it comes to compliance with health measures. If class sizes cannot be reduced, they explain physical distance will be impossible. Relying solely on hand washing and decontaminating toys and surfaces will not be adequate, especially since we know that COVID-19 is spread primarily through airborne droplets. They go on to say that wearing the universal mask would avoid stigmatizing vulnerable staff and students who want to stay safe and would allow for their integration into the classroom. Next week, the Ministry of Education in Ontario will hold teleconferences during which the province's 72 school boards will present their preliminary plans to the ministry for a return to school with COVID-19 in September. School boards have received a list of questions from the ministry that they will need to answer about their preparations. The questionnaire covers the 3 scenarios that were put on the table by the Ford government. These scenarios propose either a return to full-time classroom instruction, online courses only, or a hybrid approach combining part-time classroom instruction with online lessons. The Premier of Ontario said last week that he favored a return to full-time class in September. Some Canadian provinces have recently relaxed travel restrictions. And then there are countries that also have opened their borders to Canadians. However, Ottawa still advises against non-essential travel. In Canada, each province and territory has its own rules, which can vary depending on the situation. Right now, you can travel to Quebec City, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and British Columbia without having to be isolated for 14 days upon arrival. Nova Scotia, Yukon, and Manitoba may impose a quarantine period depending on the region of the country from which visitors come. The 4 Atlantic provinces have introduced a bubble that allows their residents to move freely amongst themselves without having to place themselves in isolation. Canadians from other parts of the country cannot visit Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, or Newfoundland and Labrador, except under certain circumstances. Prince Edward Island and New Brunswick, for example, allow cottage owners from outside these provinces to visit, provided they respect a 14-day quarantine. So before you plan a trip to the country, make sure you can. The Government of Canada has decided to include several language questions in the short questionnaire for the next census in 2021. This pleases the Association des juristes d'expression française de l'Ontario. This decision follows long-standing demand from the linguistic communities, and it also includes the recent Supreme Court decision that confirmed the right of British Columbia francophones to homogeneous schools under Section 23 of the Charter. These additions should have a major impact on all sectors affecting the francophonie across Canada. The justice sector as a whole will benefit, for example, from this detailed data to refine its strategies and courses of actions to improve access to justice in French. According to Marc Sauvé, président of the AGFO, we cannot adequately develop Canada's official language minority communities without having a real and accurate picture of their number, their anchor point, their situation, their issues and challenges. And our Member of Parliament for Glengarry Prescott Russell, Mr. Francis Drouin, will be in Clarence Rockland on July 28th and will visit a few businesses to discuss with operators the economic development of the region and the role of the federal government in the region's economic recovery. Mr. Drouin will be in Prescott Russell throughout August. Yesterday evening, on July 23rd, a common party on Lemay Circle in Rockland took a turn for the worse. At 11 p.m., the Prescott Russell OPP responded to a call which was assumed to be a noise complaint. When the Rockland detachment arrived on the scene, 2 victims were found. One adult male was declared deceased on the scene. Another adult male was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. The Ontario Provincial Police does not feel that there is a risk to the public at this time. Our collaborator, Jean-Simon Brassard, spoke with Mr. Bill Dixon, the Ontario Provincial Police Public Relations Officer on site. We also managed to speak to a possible witness who wishes to remain anonymous for the time being. So I'm currently on scene where the Ontario Provincial Police responded to a call at roughly 11 p.m. yesterday evening. The Ontario Provincial Police Public Relations Department has confirmed at least 1 homicide in the sector. We spoke with Mr. Bill Dixon of the Public Relations team. Let's listen to it. So, Mr. Dixon, I understand that this situation is still under investigation, and I know you're maybe not in the possibility of giving us much information. What can you tell us about what has happened and what is happening at the moment?
Well, the Russell County OPP and the OPP Criminal Investigation Branch are investigating a homicide that happened overnight in Rockland. One adult male was found deceased at the scene. Another adult male was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Now, the OPP does not feel that there is any imminent risk to public safety at this point in time as a result of this incident. But anyone who does have any information, we definitely want to hear from them. Please call the Russell County Detachment of the OPP at 1-888-310-1122. That's 1-888-310-1122, or call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477. That's 1-800-222-8477.
And in the event that the population has something to report, would you happen to have some sort of vehicle description that could possibly help a possible witness?
We have no other information that we can release at this point in time. We are continuing to investigate. We have no other information that we can release at this point, though. Thank you very much, Mr. Dixon. We also had the opportunity of interviewing through a phone call one of the residents who, for the moment, at the very least, wishes to remain anonymous. We'll take a listen to that as well.
Well, we don't know. We heard some noise, some swearing, a car take off, and then there was a guy standing in front of one of the houses holding his stomach. That's about all we know. And he was yelling a bunch of swear words and that. They've been an issue for a couple years now, and the police have been there a few times. I've called once. You know, some of the other neighbors have called and called by law. And it's been an ongoing thing for a couple years. we don't know for sure, but that's what they're hearing, and actually that's what it says on CTV News and stuff. I mean, like I said, we saw that, and the police came, and there was ambulances and dogs and SWAT team, and everybody was there. Fire department's there with their lights on the house, you know, and it's all cordoned off now with police tape and that. The police are still there, and I'm guess there's an investigation underway now. So, and when neighbors are just tired of it and want it to end, we want our neighborhood safe and back again, you know.
And we also remind the population that should you have any information concerning this, you may contact Crime Stopper or the Russell Police Department at the phone number that Mr. Dixon has provided us. Thank you very much, and we'll keep you updated on this situation. The police requires the assistance of the public. Any information that can be provided would greatly help the investigation. To relay information on this matter, please contact either the Russell OPP at 1-888-310-1122. Once again, that's 1-888-310-1122. Or Ottawa Crime Stopper at 1-800-222-8477. Once again, 1-800-222-8477. And for some good news for a change, TVC22 organizes a drive-in theater under the stars to celebrate its 30 years of existence. On July 31st at 8:30 p.m., it will take place at the Jean-Marc Lalonde Arena in Rockland. If you have been a volunteer, member of the board of directors, a partner, or an employee, TVC22 invites you to come and enjoy it. Sections of 5 people maximum have been prepared to respect social distancing. For more information, visit the TVC22 Facebook page. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me for this episode of TVC News. See something that could make the headlines? Feel free to send us an email at nouvelles@tvc22.ca. Now, just for your information, there will be no TVC News for the next 2 weeks as the station is closed to the public and as we are on vacation. Once again, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Toute la conclusion ou juste...
Ou la fin, ou whatever.
Ok, ben c'est parce que la conclusion, je me souviens pas ce que j'ai dit. Fait que on va la refaire improviser. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me for this episode of TVC News. See something that could make the headlines? Feel free to send us an email at nouvelles@tvc22.ca. Just a quick reminder that there will be no TVC News for the next 2 weeks as the station is closed to the public and will be on vacation. Thank you for joining us today for your July 24th TVC News, and we'll see you next time.